Hi.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome. So, welcome back to Plan with Plan. I'm really excited for today's session because we're here with Karina, who's actually the CMO at Plan, and she's a writer, and you've taught me so much, Karina. So I'm so excited to hear what you have to say, and I know it's going to be so great for everyone.
I'm excited because I'm normally behind the scenes, and so I've watched you on the stage for a while, and I'm so happy to join you today.
I know, it's so true. You're usually always in the comments and like answering messages, so it's so great to actually have you here. And if you're coming in, we'd love to know where you're from, what industry you're in.
Oh, cool. I can see Emma and Antoinette from Plan here, and they've just shared the content calendar in files. Amazing.
Yeah, I love that. It's so fun to like see the people we work with in the comments all the time. And oh, hello, Laura. So we have a florist from Melbourne. That's
We've got some floral colors on for you today. We were just saying that we look at it like a watermelon.
Exactly. Bree, oh, she has a loungewear company. That's great. That's basically, I think, what we've all been living in this year. So good for business. New York cooking classes. Oh, wow. We have a lot of comments coming in. I think they were a little bit delayed in the beginning. Kiki said she does virtual fitness. Oh, Nicole is a lawyer coach. That sounds very exciting and hard. Wow.
Cool.
It's so great to see people from all over.
Yeah, it's so funny to be on this side of it. Like, it's, amazing. A chef in New York? Oh, I could do with a meal in New York right about now. We were just talking about.
Definitely. An interior designer from Los Angeles. That's great. Well, Karina's in Australia right now, and I'm in the French Caribbean. So I know for you, Karina, it's like the morning. For me, it's almost bedtime. So we're on opposite sides.
Yeah, I've just had my coffee, and you're probably about to have a sleepy time tea after this.
Exactly.
We really should go to the
Yes. Well, it's so great to see where everyone is from. And thank you so much for being here with us today. So I'm, like I said, really excited to have Karina on. She's actually going to come back in a little bit and walk you through really kind of creating an overall marketing strategy and really like mixing things up. And has a bunch of stuff to share with you. But for now, I'll jump into the slides, and then Karina, we'll see you in a little bit.
See you soon.
Sounds good. Great. Yeah, while you're coming in, of course, feel free to keep commenting where you're from and what industry you're in. We love to see it. And if you need any help at all, of course, ask away. And we have a bunch of our team members in the chat, so they can help you there. But let's go ahead and jump into today's Plan with Plan. I'm really excited to show you around our calendar, show you the new content calendar for July. And then just to have Karina on is amazing because she's taught me so much at Plan. She's the mastermind behind a lot of our marketing strategies and everything. So you're really hearing it from the best. And Jillian, yes, there will be a replay available as well. If you're signed up, if you're registered here, then you will get that replay. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the slides. Okay, so today we are talking about how to effectively use social media in your marketing mix. And this is so important because especially this year, I think it's really time to kind of fine tune your business strategy, and marketing goes so much further than just coming up with an Instagram strategy. you really want to develop an overall marketing approach. And so that's what Karina is really going to speak on today. And it's going to be so helpful. So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Greta, and I am the social media manager here at Plan. I'm also a content creator myself, and my passion is really about helping brands tell the story of who they are through content creation. And of course, I do that with Plan. So if you've been on our social media, you've probably seen my face a lot. And then today I'm joined by Karina May, which is Plan's amazing CMO. Karina is basically Plan's chief marketing officer, although she wears so many hats. And she's a strategic, data-driven marketer with 10 plus years of experience working with bootstrap businesses on both client and agency side. And she has a huge portfolio across tech and e-commerce. And as you can see on the slide, she's worked with some incredible brands. So she's just very knowledgeable in this department and is the perfect person to kind of walk us through creating a marketing strategy today. So a few things that you will need is a Plan desktop account. If you don't have this, go ahead and sign up at the link here, or go ahead and pop a question below in the chat, and our team will send the link to you. That way, a Canva account, which you can have a pro one or just a regular one. And then your July content calendar, which should be in your email. So make sure to check it there. That's where you can download it. Or again, it will be in the chat below. Thanks so much to the Plan team. So you can grab it there as well. So today we're going to be covering the July content calendar, Plan's customizable calendar, which I'm really excited to speak about because it's really a hidden gem on Plan that I think kind of goes unnoticed, and there's so many amazing things it can do. What is a marketing mix? Ideas to incorporate social media into broader marketing plan, defining your media channels by pinpointing your target audience, objectives, and success metrics, craft your own SMART goal, understanding multi-channel conversion paths, creating a marketing plan within Plan, and then we'll be answering Q&As at the end. So any questions you have, make sure to pop them below, and we'll be going through those at the end and answering them. Now, a huge majority of this, Karina will be popping back on for because she has a lot to teach us, especially me, about these things. And here's just a little bit of information on our calendar. And I'm really excited to share our calendar. I think it's something that we haven't really touched on in our last Plan with Plan sessions. And it's something that I've, really been using for Plan. And it's just so great to organize all your content and to see your overall strategy by using the calendar. So there's some great information here, but I'm actually going to go ahead and walk you through a demo so you can see what it actually is and what it's like. And that's Karina's slide. So first, I just wanted to show you our content calendar for July. Danny, our graphic designer, did an incredible job, and the colors and everything are just amazing. If you're new to the content calendar, basically this is Plan's way of really helping you just put your social media on autopilot. So we send out a monthly calendar. That's why I make sure you're subscribed to our email list. And every month we send out a calendar that's customized for that month. And we include templates for each day. You can access those templates by simply clicking on that little Instagram icon, and it will bring up a template inside of Canva that you can completely customize. We also give you some tips for your other social media platforms here. So for example, on the 1st of July, we suggest setting an intention for the month on LinkedIn, putting your goals for the month on Facebook, and so on and so forth. again, this is a brief overview because I really want to touch on the content calendar. But there's just so much helpful stuff here. And then Emma, who's our amazing content writer and editor, she really helps you out with captions. And so this is new to the calendar. Basically, if you keep scrolling down, you're going to see some caption prompts for each day. And all you have to do is, pair the prompts with the template. So here it says the first, scroll down and find the first, and then you will find a prompt for you that's going to help you write a great caption to go along with your post. So it honestly couldn't be easier, which is what we want at Plan. We just really want to help you automate your socials. And yeah, I love that we added these kind of caption prompts because it just helps so much. I know captions can be kind of a sticky thing. So again, I could talk about the calendar all night long, but for the sake of time, let's go ahead and jump straight into Plan. So if you're new to Plan, this is what the desktop version looks like. This is the layout. And as you can see, it's really simple and intuitive design. You can create your post here. You have your mock-up grid here, which automatically syncs up with your grid on Instagram. So all your new posts will be here. And today, there's so many features we could get into, but we're going to touch on the calendar, which, like I said, I'm really excited to talk a little bit about the calendar. So I'm going to give you a few tips on how I personally would use the calendar. So we have this mock-up grid of like a wedding photographer. So I actually want to show you how I would use it if I was a wedding photographer, just so we have kind of a theme to go off of. So as you can see here, we have our calendar, and you can, of course, go through it monthly. You can go through it weekly as well, or just see today. But let's go ahead and add an event for July 1st. So how you add a custom event on your calendar is you click this little plus button on the left-hand side, and then you can decide to create a post, a story, or a custom event. Today, I'm going to go ahead and create a custom event. And I already have the event type here that I want to add, but of course, if you're new to this, how you add the event type is you just press here, add in the name, you can add in the color. I suggest using your brand colors. And to give you an idea of like what an event type would be, it could be an email campaign, it could be a blog post, a shoot, a launch date, any important events that you need to remember. We're going to do a wedding shoot though. And then let's just say it's N+A's wedding. And then you can select the date, the time, and you can attach media. So if there's like a photo of them, just so you remember the couple, for example, you could add in the photo. You could add in any notes. So maybe there's a specific, lens you want to bring for your camera, or a certain, prop you want to use, or whatever it is. You can add in those notes there. And that's just a great way to, in Plan on your calendar, already know that you have, a wedding shoot coming up. And then maybe you want to post something on Instagram because you want to announce that you'll be, at this wedding shooting photos, or you want to congratulate the couple or something like that. You'll simply, again, click the plus, and then you'll go ahead and create a post, and then it will go ahead and show up on your calendar. And that's a great way to keep track of what you're posting. And it makes it so easy to be able to see everything at a glance and know what's coming up on your social media, but also what's coming up on just your calendar in general. So like if you have a content shoot planned, if you want to publish a blog post, let's say, again, you can go into that custom event, select blog post. Again, I think that's what I did. Add some media. So maybe there's specific photos you want in that blog post. Maybe you want to add in certain notes here and then create that event. And then again, here you already know that you have a blog post going up. So I know Karina has some amazing information to share with you, and I don't want to, spend too much time on this. I've actually created a YouTube video that walks you through a few more ways to use our content calendar, our calendar. So I'll go ahead and find that, and I'll actually put that in the chat below so you can watch that later. But it's just, like I said, great way to see your overall strategy and see your posts, your stories, events, and everything that you have coming up. So that's just a few ways that I would use it. And with that being said, I'd really love to bring Karina back on, because I know we touched on like adding a blog post into the calendar, and I know you have some really helpful tips into like incorporating blog posts into your marketing strategy. So I think it's perfect time for you to take it away.
Amazing. Thanks, Greta. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. So everyone, patience. All right. Perfect. So hopefully you can see my screen. But as Greta was touching on with the marketing calendar, wait, let me just double check that you can hear me, because I did have my audio off. I think it's all fine now. Cool. Yes, as Greta did touch on with our beautiful plan marketing calendar, you can schedule or plan out not just your social media, but media for your other channels as well. So Greta used that example of the blog post. So that you know that you have your blog post ready to share on your social media, obviously it makes sense to plan out your social media while thinking about your other content channels. So we like to call this your marketing mix, and I personally like to compare it to baking a cake and the ingredients that go into making a cake. So it's very rare that you would be able to bake, a good cake using just one ingredient, unless it's, something like a mud pie. But even if it was a mud pie, that's dirt and water to make that. So you need a couple of ingredients to really build an effective marketing strategy. So as much as here at Plan, we love social media and think it's extremely powerful, Plan's always been about a complete marketing suite. So thinking about how you can use other channels to really supersize that growth on social. So we call that the marketing mix. I've got some words here about an ecosystem and, some scary words, but really when it comes down to it, it's about what are the ingredients that are needed for your business to really make sure that your social media efforts sing. So the goal is to work out what your marketing mix is for your individual business, and for each business it's different. So we're going to go through a couple of the different channels that you can use in your marketing mix. So as I've said before, social media, it's powerful, but it's just one piece of the marketing puzzle. And social media works best when integrated with your overall marketing plan. And a marketing plan is obviously something that you can set up using Plann'rs customizable brand calendar. We have some default events that Greta showed you there, that include some channels like blogs, website, but then you can also set up your own events depending on what's working for you. We can go through that. And another good reason to make sure that you're not just on socials, but you're exploring other channels is what's called, your owned media. So I saw actually in the comments just before that someone said that they're having an issue with Instagram, and that is what can happen when, you know, there's a third party that owns those platforms. So it's important to diversify where your marketing efforts are in case something does happen with one of your social channels, which, you know, I'd hate to think that, but those things can happen. And that's another actually benefit of Plann with your media, for example, because we have media collections and you can host all your media in Plann. So if something does go wrong, you're not losing your media. It's all there. So something like your website and blog, your email list, you have complete control over that. So it doesn't matter what changes are made, you know, on Facebook's end. You're always going to be able to reach your audience. So that's another good reason to diversify your channels and not just be socials only. So I just thought I'd put together some ideas of like how you can integrate your social media within your overall marketing strategy. So for example, you can use social media to drive traffic to landing pages that maybe is an email sign up or a downloadable. In that case, you obviously need somewhere to take that traffic. So if you have a grid post or a story promoting your email list, what's the next step? Where are they going to go with that? So that might include a link in your bio or a swipe up link on your stories if you have 10,000 followers. Actually, I will just add there a little tip, and aside, a hack. If you don't have 10,000 followers, you are actually able to do a swipe up link if you utilize IGTV. So you can actually add a swipe up link to an IGTV. So if on that IGTV, you film, you know, a piece to camera with your call to action, and in the comments have the link of where the page is that you want to sign up, or even on that IGTV. So it does have to be 1 minute long. You can put up a graphic that you've made in Canva that just sits there for a minute with your call to action text, and put that as a swipe up in your stories. So I love that as a hack if you don't have 10,000 followers. You can run a social media contest to grow your email list. So, excuse me, the channels there obviously are social media, email, and your website. So that's three channels in your marketing mix that you would need to consider. Sharing new blog content, again, blog is and content marketing is a very powerful tool for getting your brand and business out there. And so, you know, you can send people to your blog from stories, do a grid post. If you are, you know, have a bit of budget and you were trying some paid social ads, you could always look at targeting users who have visited your website with your ads. And then, of course, you can always sell directly on social media and set up your socials for shopping. And as we know, if you have a very visual business, you're an e-commerce business selling beautiful products, or you're a florist, Instagram and Facebook and socials are a perfect way of showcasing your products. And we actually do have a guide of the nitty-gritty of making sure that you're set up for shopping success on socials that we'll send as well with the Replay Actors webinar. But, you know, you still need that other step. You know, they can click through to your product, but how are they actually making that purchase? You know, you do need to consider another channel. So, what we've got there as well in the screenshot as an example of content prompts. So that's ideas of content that you can post. And we have 50 plus industries where we have different content ideas. And then also we obviously have the July calendar where we're looking at events and holidays and that sort of thing. And content prompts are another way of thinking, you know, I want to maybe put a post on my grid, but how do I extend that to other channels? Do I also want to make a blog post about that I can cross-post across all of my social channels? Like, how do I take the social media efforts a step further? So how to get started, obviously, you know, there are a lot of channels out there and we'll go through, I guess, some of the options and it's impossible, you know, even us as a marketing team here at Plann, we're a very efficient marketing team, but there are some channels that we are always wanting to get to market to that we just, you know, haven't had a chance to really dominate there yet. So we pick the key ones that we know perform best for Plann. So if you're just starting out and you're, you know, are posting on socials and you haven't thought much beyond maybe a website, it's a good place just to start by picking one. So and think about what is the other place you want to be that's beyond social media where your audience might be. So you might want to show up, start creating blogs that you can distribute, maybe even making videos. As we know, like videos are amazing content, very easily digestible on mobile device. Sending email. So you probably would have seen in my bio that I am very passionate about email and the power of email. We can talk about that in a second. A webinar, looking at working with partners, and we'll also go into that a little bit as a channel. In-person events. So that's just a sample of the different kind of places that you can show up, and they're the types of things that you can also add to your marketing calendar in Plan, but that is overwhelming, so you don't have to be everywhere at once. So pick one channel that you think best suits you, and try it out. So you'll want to do that by trying to work out where your customer is when they're not on socials. Where else are they hanging out? And you do that by defining persona. So anyone with any marketing background has probably heard that word before, but basically it's thinking about who your ideal customer is. So you look at demographics, their goals, hobbies, jobs. So I actually like to name that person, and we do have some personas that Plan that we have like a little bio written about, like including even how often they check their email, what car they might drive, to really humanize who that person is, and it helps you identify where else they might want to hear from you. So you can also get that information from Google Analytics if you have that attached on your website. And also, obviously, you can get that from your Facebook Analytics. So that will be skewed a bit younger because typically it's a younger audience that shows up on socials, but slowly but surely looking at that data to build that real picture. After that step to kind of identify what channels you want to try out, you need to look at the goal of the channel. So ask yourself what you're hoping to achieve. So unless you're selling directly on socials, socials often for business is a complementary channel to a touch point of a sale. So to generate that company awareness, so you know that when you're posting on social, your goal is awareness. And then if that's awareness and you're doing your job there and they're engaging, how are they going to purchase from you? What's the next step? What is the other channel that you need to show up on to convert that customer into a sale? So by looking at it as a holistic journey or planning it out in your marketing plan, you'll discover what channels are worth investing in. So I like to get really specific when setting goals, so I know exactly what the purpose of what I'm doing is. So it's all well and good to, post regularly and show up and be consistent, but you really always need to be doing any marketing activity with purpose in mind. So we call these SMART goals. They're specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. So making sure that your goal is really direct and detailed, it's quantifiable so that you're able to measure the success. It's realistic, especially if you're just starting out, on a new channel. You don't want to get demoralized, when you're not hitting those goals. Aligns with the overall vision of what you're hoping to achieve with your brand, and it has a deadline. So set yourself a bit of a goal to reach it by X amount of time. So an example for something like Instagram is that, you might have a post that you put up about educating your audience about the damage that plastic in oceans causes. And the channels that you will look at is Instagram and a landing page or website. And you'll be successful if you get 10,000 signups via Instagram to help clean local beaches. So it's a very purpose-led initiative and cross-channel and a mixed channel initiative. So again, you can obviously put that link to sign up on the landing page in your bio, or use a swipe up link, or use the IGTV hack we just spoke about. But that's an example of how two channels work together to reach a very specific goal that you've set. And I'm assuming that this business here has kind of identified that, their audience is wanting to sign up and give their email address. And then, sorry, the next channel, then they have their email address is to continue marketing to them. So it's really 3 channels involved. So it just shows you how you can take one social post and make it work even harder for you. Again, you're creating the content. We have a lot of workflow hacks in Plann to speed up that process. But at the same time, you are spending time on it. So you want to make it really work for you. Another place or another example is, if you're doing paid social and you want to share how you're helping the environment to make sales of a recycled ocean plastic bracelet. So that's where you might want to have your account. So you'll need a business account to set up for shopping. And as I said, we'll send a guide of, the nuts and bolts of actually what you need to do to connect that up to shopping. But then you'll also need a website for the checkout process. So the goal here is you'll be successful if you make $25,000 in sales to fund 3 trips to the Pacific Ocean to collect plastics. So it's a measurable, quantifiable goal that you'll know whether or not you hit it or not. And you can assess that based off, how it performs. Another example is Facebook. So Facebook is a platform. So obviously with Plann, it's amazing because you can cross promote your content. So you can set up a post on Instagram and share it across Facebook. Also, you're able to edit that post because we know that on different channels, people digest content in different ways. So on Facebook, it suits more longer form content. So you can share an article about, the state of the ocean and plastics in the ocean. So you probably would be wanting to share a longer form piece of content. So on Instagram grid posts, it might be a caption. It might be a longer form article of a blog that people can click through and read. And again, option of sharing that on social channels like LinkedIn. Again, you can do that directly through Plann, which is amazing. So you'll know you'll be successful if you build awareness to the cause. And the post gets widely shared, and maybe you get an extra 10,000 likes on Facebook. So now I just wanted to kind of deep dive. I just double check the time because I just want to make sure I'm not going over. I think everything is fine. So the other thing I wanted to just kind of chat about, as I said, I'm very passionate about email. So I just wanted to talk and deep dive on a couple of channels that we have had success with at Plann and that I think a lot of businesses, do. So socials and email is one thing. So I mentioned that socials can be used to grow your email list by obviously promoting or calling out an action to sign up to a specific offer or deal, again, via link in bio or a link from a swipe up story. So you can use socials as an effective way to maybe share some more value added content. So extending the information that you're providing already on socials. So for people that want further learning, they can maybe download, a white paper from you or go and watch a video series in exchange for the email address. So the important thing when you are promoting email sign up via social is make sure that you're tracking where they're coming from so that you know to do more of those efforts. So again, that's something that you can set up pretty easily in Google Analytics, and you can see exactly the source of where that email address has come from, and then you can follow it all the way through to purchase. This is especially important if you're doing something running a social competition where, it's going far and wide. You might attract, a lot of signups, but then it's really important to see the value of that sign up and follow it all the way through to the journey to see if signups that came from a social competition end up actually purchasing from you. You might find that you get 5,000 signups and maybe 2 purchase, and you have to work out the value of that and whether or not that's something that you want to run again. Or it might be the opposite, where you find that you're getting really good quality leads from that competition. But you can see there how socials and email work together. Because once you have their email address, you can be sending them regular newsletters to keep in touch with them. And also, even better, maybe setting up a customized workflow. So that's something that I'm super passionate about and have spent a lot of years doing. So that's basically sending personalized content based off what their interests are and their behavior. Excuse me. So you're continuing to prompt them to take action, which is to purchase. So the example of a workflow that you might send is, they sign up to your email address, and honestly, just a nice welcome and onboarding, letting them know who you are, what you're all about, and what the next step that you'd like them to take is. Like a trust like no campaign, knowing that they've maybe, found you on socials, maybe through a hashtag if you're, using a high visibility effort, and they don't know much about you apart from your grid and your stories. So if you are going to that effort to get their email address on socials, you want to make sure it's not a dead end. And dead end means you want to continue communicating with them. And the key to great emails is personalize. And that's more than just first name. As I said, that's bringing in some more information, maybe some further learning about, the thing that they were interested in, that was the thing that prompted them to give their email address to you in the first place. So then I just wanted to touch on partners and influencers as a channel. I do think that influencers and affiliate partners go hand in hand with socials a lot of time. We know there's a lot of affiliate content that's over, particularly Instagram, and it's something that we have had success with at Plann. So I wanted to provide some tips and, give a bit of an overview about how those things work together. And I will point out that, again, looking back to your marketing mix, influencer marketing might not form part of your marketing mix. It might not be right for you. For example, if you run a local business, a lot of influencers that you'll find online or content creators maybe have a global audience. So it's maybe not targeted enough for the local audience that you're looking to attract with your business. But in a lot of cases, it can be really useful. So we actually published an article not long ago on the blog about utilizing DMs to build rapport. So obviously we have a comments and mentions feature in Plann where you can engage your community directly within Plann without even having to go off the platform. And the same goes when you are building that rapport in comments. So replying, that means replying to people, asking questions. You can also do that in DMs, and that includes, maybe complimenting someone's post or product. So we have a lot of amazing planners in our community, and obviously some of you are joining us today. So it's incredibly easy for us. It comes from a very genuine place when we are, complimenting your offering or what you're about, because it honestly amazes us. So starting there and seeing, some people that you might want to work with, they might already be using your product and you want to take it a step further. So we said to be very clear about your offer as well. So you decide whether it's a paid partnership, a contra, what's the percentage commission. And, when you're getting into very detailed exchanges, you might want to consider a contract. Creating an affiliate kit. So that's just really a PDF with your offering, what it is your audience is, to see if it's a match. It's just somewhere that it's presented all together. You have a link so you can easily flick it off. Affiliate software is really important as well, so that you can track the success. Like, I'm going to keep going back to what channels work for you. It means always circling back to the data and looking at the analytics to see, is this somewhere that we want to continue showing up because it's really working for us? And I think a really successful affiliate program relies on creating a sense of community, and, retaining the support is supporting each other's ventures, supporting their content, supporting their products, and always featuring that. So, I guess that's one way that you can utilize an affiliate channel and take that extra step off social media or within social media, and how that works together. So bringing it back to the brand calendar, I thought that was my next slide. Bringing it back to the brand calendar, you would make sure that as one of your custom events, you have, maybe recruit partner or nurture partner or share partners content. And you can see then how that forms a strategy in your overall calendar and plan. I just actually added this slide because I just wanted to touch on multi-channel conversion paths. So we've talked about multi-channel marketing, But this is the way it kind of presents when you're looking at Google Analytics. You can see here that often, and this is for conversions, so you can see we call them touch points that it often takes for someone to convert. So, they might have gone organic search and then referral and then signed up. So these conversion paths aren't as long as some of them I've seen in the past. So I actually used to do some work for a leather jacket company, and the leather jacket was about a $900 AUD price tag. And there was actually 70 touch points that it took before someone made a sale. So by touch points, that is across all channels. So I think socials made up 35 touch points in the 70. So that means that someone maybe opened an email, went to Instagram, looked at it again, watched the story, went back to the website. So it makes sense. The higher value the item is, or the bigger the commitment, the more touch points there might be. And so you want to make sure that you're meeting your customer where they are and giving the information that they need on the platform they are to help inform their purchase decision. So I think I'm almost done. Check my time. I think I'm on time, Greta. We want to make sure that we've got time for question at the end. So I just thought it might be good just if you wanted to take a moment to kind of have a think about what the objectives are of your business and the objectives, that you have there, and then the channels that might suit those for your success. So I've just written out this. It's very simple, but I want to achieve X, and I believe the best way to achieve this is Y. So, you could say, I want to achieve 100 new email signups, and I believe the best way to achieve this is via Instagram and email. So you're starting to think about the other platforms that you want to focus attention on, and then you can go all the way back to our SMART goals and attach some real measurable stuff and timelines to that as well. So this month, and this is how I'm going to do it, run a competition. It's the only way, working backwards to reach that goal retrospectively. So I know I said I'd give you time, but I also want to make sure we have questions. So perhaps write that down, and you can revisit that after this session or whenever you have a moment to kind of, I know there's a big difference between working on your business and working in your business. So this is definitely a working on your business task, which might make it more efficient when you're working in your business because you're working on the right things. So the next step really is to jump back into plan and create your marketing plan. So once you've defined your channels, so if you're only been doing socials, I would recommend one. If you've been doing socials and you have a website, maybe think about what else you can add to your marketing mix. Is it some milk? Is it an egg? And then populate your marketing plan for July using content prompts, obviously from our calendar, and then adding those custom events for the channels that you might want to start playing in, and thinking about your goals and your target audience in mind. I'm going to come back now, so we'll stop sharing and hopefully Greta will come back on.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, that was amazing. Like, I work with you, so obviously, you're always sharing your knowledge with us and the team, but just to hear you really speak on each channel and like how to use them, it's so helpful. And I feel like a lot of people kind of forget to like incorporate like email and have goals and all these things.
I mean, it does sound like, I always distill it back to the basic. If I'm doing a post and we say every post has to have a call to action. So what is the next step? What do you want me to do? And it could be to leave a comment directly in the platform. That's fine. No other channel is required there. But if the moment you're saying sign up somewhere, you have to think about, okay, well, how about that channel? What am I doing there? What's the next step? And what can I be doing? So I think that's the easiest way to explain it, because I am super aware with saying, it wasn't the sexiest name for this webinar, like multi-channel. Like, it sounds very scary, especially when you're throwing the word ecosystem in there. But really, it's about making your socials work harder. You're putting the effort in anyway. So how do you go the extra mile?
Definitely. And I love the way you framed it as like they're kind of all ingredients, because they just all work together, and understanding all of them is so important.
I mean, I'd be interested to know if anyone has made a one ingredient cake apart from a mud cake.
That's just like not a very good one.
I'm not a baker, but I could be wrong.
We actually got some really great questions, and I think a
Good.
lot of these are definitely for you to answer. They're a little above me. But let's go ahead and start. So Laura asked, and my phone. Okay, there we go. Laura asked, do you recommend creating separate content for each platform, even if they have the same theme, goals, etc.?
Yeah, so I think, there's two answers, and I think you also have to always have in mind your resources and what's available to you. So especially at Plan, when we're planning, we always go, we could do this, but that doesn't make sense with our resources. Ideally, yeah, you could customize content for each of your platforms, but using Plan, it's very easy to cross-promote the content that you have already posted on one social platform. So for example, on Instagram, it's very easy for you to share that same content on Facebook, keeping in mind that there are slightly differences with different audiences on there and the way they consume content. So in my presentation, I touched on with Facebook, it's more suited to longer form. So then from there, you're like, well, if I've got extra time knowing it's longer form and this caption on Instagram has performed really well, maybe it's worth turning it into a blog post. And then that way I now have content marketing that I can use. So I can post that on Facebook because I know that they like longer form content. And wait, now I have a blog article that I can maybe send out in an email. Like, that makes sense. And should I pop it on LinkedIn while I'm, thinking about it? And we were talking about earlier repurposing content. I think that's definitely something that's going to come up in a session. But I think a lot of times you're scared to say the same thing more than once because you're like, it's repetitive, I'm a broken record, I've already said it on Instagram, like anyone. But not only are different audiences on different platforms, but just because you have posted it doesn't mean that people have seen it. I mean, all you have to do is look at your analytics, your reach. And so just because you spend time on a blog post doesn't mean that's done. We call content evergreen, which means if it doesn't date, you can reshare that over and over again. So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, that Instagram content already went well. And if I turn it into a blog article, I can reshare that for the next year. That is a good use of my 2 hours. So that's how I think about it.
That's so true. And it's great because inside Plan, you can actually go and see your analytics and see your best performing posts. And there's probably so much content people have already published that performed well. And they can, repurpose that into an email or a blog post or something like that.
One of the reasons that we will firstly have content strategies and content prompts for 50 plus industries plus events in Plan, and we do our content calendar, is because we do find that one of the biggest struggles with planners is coming up with content ideas. And so we say, like, rather than you trying to manufacture, like, this is something I can talk about, utilizing what you have already done and going back to have a look what performs well is a really great thing. And if you want to get started writing your first blog post, for example, and you're like, I want to do it, but I don't know what to say, combing through your last social post to see what performed well can really spark the idea for a blog post. And you could probably have a schedule of 8 articles, depending on how long you've been posting for, based off that have been sparked from great performing content without even having to use, I think, there's a lot of content generation softwares and looking at your competition to see what they're writing. But honestly, just start with you and what's performing best and how can you extend that further.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And really, you're just giving your audience more of what they like, because you're looking at the analytics and seeing that they like this exact post. So it's kind of an easy win.
And then you take content post and you can make a video, and that's for those people that want content digested in that way. So you keep like stretching yourself.
Exactly. I love that. Michelle, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, said, what do you advise content creators for nonprofits to do? There's a lot of e-commerce content studies and webinars out there, but using your professional view, what would you advise for those not selling as an e-commerce platform?
That's interesting. So I do actually have not-for-profit experience, and I do know what you're saying. Like, there is a lot of literature out there that is skewed towards selling and e-commerce. So At Plan, we actually, I don't know if you've seen it, but one of our content prompts that Emma, our content editor, has put together because we were getting so many requests is specifically for not-for-profit. So it's 9 strategies and content ideas that, you can implement to, talk to your audience on socials and beyond socials. I will say it kind of speaks more to, in my presentation, the awareness piece. So I would say, so the not-for-profit that I work for did actually have an e-commerce arm where we would sell like charitable soft toys as well, so that, we did have an option of something that we could sell, but mainly we were events driven. So, we would host an event that would raise a certain amount of money. So I think that, using your marketing strategy and your socials probably to drive awareness and interest with email sign up is probably the best, because you're always going to be launching an event, I guess. Like, it depends on what your charity is, but I do hear you when it's not, socials isn't about selling directly and making that conversion. It's a step in awareness. And I would say the goal there probably would be, as much as possible, to collect their email address.
That's actually a good segue into one of the questions we got via email, which is are there cheeky ways to capture emails? I think some people are like, I don't want to give my email out to one more person. Do you have suggestions as ways, you can do that?
So, I mean, we're in Australia, so, but there's a thing called GDPR. So that was something that was rolled out a couple of years ago, where it was an even stricter data policy. So you really, really do need someone's consent. Unfortunately, it's not even enough to take someone's email address as purchased a product from you. Like, they need to also opt in to receiving your email communications. So in terms of and the other thing I will say is, you don't want to trick anyone onto your email address, because then that affects your open rates. Your open rates affect your deliverability rates, which means when you send an email and people don't open it, it will get sent to junk. So you really don't want anyone on an email list that don't want to be there. And for that reason as well, you should have list hygiene all the time, where you're cleaning it up and removing those people that just aren't interested and haven't opened. So the best tactic, I would say, is just that value added content. So having and I did call out competitions can be good, but also, people might unsubscribe the moment the competition is over. So I think as much as possible, so at Plan, obviously, we produce a whole lot of guides, or Emma does, our content editor. We've got 25 different guides that are available. All you have to do is enter your email address, and you can unsubscribe at any time. But that's an example of giving some really valuable information. Obviously, with e-commerce, discounting always works really well. So 10% off first purchase, sign up. And I think the key to get them not to unsubscribe once you've done that work on your email address is those nurture workflow funnels I was talking about, where straight away you get them to fall in love with you by the content that you're sending them straight up. So even, we know that authentic content is the way at the moment, and probably is here to stay. So, getting your face in front of them if you're a small business owner as soon as possible, to say hey, I'm a real person. You signed up to me, and this means a lot. Here's your discount, and continuing that relationship as much as possible over email. Then if you have paid budget, you can also maybe run some remarketing ads where you upload email addresses or people that have come to your visit. So they're kind of always seeing you, but not too much, not in a stalker way. So
I love that. And I love how because I never even thought of that, but it's really about quality over quantity, just like it is with followers on social media when it comes to email, because you want the engagement.
Yeah. So. I was going to add that. And so obviously, Greta, you're a content creator. So, you are definitely have been on the end of brands approaching you. And I think, one of the big mistakes is looking at, the vanity numbers of the followers over engagement. And it's the same, with really any channel. Numbers are great, but it's about the quality over quantity.
Definitely. That makes sense. How often would you recommend sending out emails? Because I think there's probably a really sweet spot of you want to make sure you're nurturing them, but you also, don't want to, be annoying. So Do you find it's different for every brand or company, or how do you find that?
I mean, I think if you're starting out for the first time, a monthly cycle is pretty safe. I think with all the emails that you're getting, but then that's the thing. It's like, how do you stand out if you're just one of many emails that are being sent? So it really also depends on the purchase cycle. So for a hairdresser, for example, you know, your client might visit you 4 times a year, depending on what highlights they need to maintain. But you want to make sure that between those visits, you're in touch with them enough, but not too much. So thinking about your ideal customer's buyer cycle, and then you can kind of slot in your email comms. For someone like a hairdresser, where it's like maybe 3 months apart purchases, I would say the frequency could maybe increase a little bit, but then, you know, you just gauge that also by looking at your open rate. So you can tell pretty quickly whether or not you're pissing off people if your open rates start to decline. So you're like, cool, maybe I'll just ease off the accelerator a little bit. But that's where automated workflows come in as well, because the moment, you know, they take an action with you, you do want to treat them differently. For example, if it's someone's second purchase, it's a great opportunity to maybe send them a referral link like, hey, you seem to like us, do you mind sharing us? So I think the more automations you set up, the more you've also got to be cautious. If they're in this one, make sure they're not in this one. An example is abandoned cart. Like, I think abandoned cart is, if you have an e-commerce store, is like the number 1 email funnel that you should have set up. And it doesn't have to be discounting either. I know a lot of people add to cart and wait for their email to come in. Businesses kind of clock onto that. So it also can be scarcity messaging that works really well. Like, we've only got 1 of these left, or really benefit led. So like, this is a really unique product, or keeping up with the Joneses, like everyone else is getting this, whatever the messaging is, because they have shown such intent to purchase, you really should be knock, knock, knock. Are you sure you don't want this? So I would say that email, if you have e-commerce, comes before, you know, even sending out a regular newsletter, because you know that they've shown like a behavior that they're super interested.
Definitely. That's all the clothing brands in my email currently. They're all like, hello, you have this in your cart. Are you coming to get it? Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. Maybe I will.
I saw, I think it was on a Facebook group yesterday, you know, in one of my marketing nerd groups. And they said like the trend at the moment is to shame you, like to say like, oh, wow, you're a slowpoke. And it's interesting messaging. Wow. A lot on, I understand, but am I really going to purchase if you're telling me like how lazy I am because I haven't, you know, I haven't with you. Yeah.
I know.
People like if that works. Personally, I'm not sure. So, but you can, it's fun to play around with messaging and test out to see what your audience responds to.
Everyone's different, I guess. And I love that you brought up that like, it really depends on like your, I guess, business and what you do, depending on when you send emails, because I know we have like a florist in the chat, and probably for them, like days where maybe you'd send flowers like around Valentine's Day or holidays or birthdays or whatever, you know, that's a time where they can really kind of ramp up. Or
totally, like event-based seasonal holiday stuff. And also no shame, like for that month, you send 10 emails, and the month before you sent 2. The thing is, it's good to have a benchmark and be sending. You don't want to be nothing and then everything. So that's why it's good as well to have a consistent presence. But of course, step up your marketing activities when the timing calls for it, of course.
Definitely. We have a question from Carolina. It says, or she says, for a brand that is looking to enter an international market with an online store, do you recommend hiring a social media / marketing manager, or would working with Plann'd and starting off individually be sufficient enough to begin? This is a new brand starting from zero.
So I think, like, again, it's about your resources, but for us at Plann'd, and the way I've always worked is that I always do before I hire. So I think starting with Plann'd, so you get an understanding firstly yourself of what content performs well, and then, you know, even stuff like video content performs well, like, and you maybe have a limited budget, like, are you better off, you know, paying someone to produce quality video content so you have more of that and you can actually manage the social media management side of things from Plan, because with auto posting, and it really is super time saving, and also that strategy piece which Plan has with the marketing brand calendar and the content prompts, like I really think that you can start a benchmark strategy and then slowly chip away at what works and edit it. Of course, like, you know, if you're looking at paid social and paid ads, you know, I think that you definitely want to work with an expert and someone that knows what they're doing, because it's very easy to spend and not get results there. But I think Plan is a great place to start. Even if you have budget, I think with your socials, and save that money maybe for some content creation. But yeah, it really depends on your business. But that's just, I always love to know what it is that has to be done before I hire anyone to do anything, just so that I'm aware of how it's all set up and runs. And then step out of the process and scale. That's the only way you can grow, is to scale. But yeah.
I agree. And I think too, just to like use Plan to first get a vision for your brand social media, and really to be able to like, you know, get really clear on what you want your social media to look like. And that's what's so nice about in Plan, is really just being able to play around with your content and get a feel for it. And, you know, before you bring someone else onto the team and try to explain to them, because what's great about Plan is they can log in and already see your style and strategies you've had in place and really build off of that.
Calendar, they already have a bird's eye view of what you've got set up. So it's like, that's just the benchmark, you know, if this is what the initiatives we're already doing.
Definitely. We've had so many great questions and I've learned so much. Thank you so much, Karina. I know we're coming up on the end. Let me go ahead. I'll bring up the last slide just so you know where to find Karina at. And I think we have something exciting that we're sending out via email. Oh,
I'll just hang out with you. I'm not sure about it.
Yeah, of course.
We're watermelon in the corner.
So yeah, thank you all again for joining. You asked so many great questions, and it was just so great to have this Plan with Plan session with you. So make sure to check your inbox for a replay. And a guide on how to create a marketing strategy that works. It's going to be so helpful. And then you can connect with Karina. Her name is Karina May over on LinkedIn. And then our next live session will be Monday, July 26th at the same time. So make sure you tune in. And we're already looking forward to seeing you then.
I think we're going to, try and we said that we're just slowly recruiting everyone to come on board, because everyone in our marketing team just has so much insight to share. So I think, I don't know if I can say it and then she's committed, but our creative lead might be coming on to talk all things like aesthetics and content creation.
Which she's just amazing. Yeah, she's great. So I'm excited for that too. Well, thank you. Thank you everyone so much. Have a good day, Karina. I'm off to bed. And wherever you guys are in the world, I hope you have a good day or a good night, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Oh, there we go.